Program are pre-recorded.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bachman with Lori Hens from Beck News. You can go to BeckTV.plus. Follow all things Summit Carbon Solutions, proposed CO2 pipeline, and all kinds of other stuff as well. A lot of great investigative reporting. And Lori, thanks for coming in again this morning. I wanted to pick up where kind of we left off last week. We were talking about in D.C., a bunch of people signing on to some, it's not legislation yet, but it's kind of a precursor.
Well, I can read it to you. This was to a letter to Mike Johnson dated August 6th of this year. And it says, Dear Speaker Johnson, as members of the House Republican Conference, there are 18 of the people who signed this. We write to urge you to prioritize business and market certainty as you consider efforts to repeal or reform the Inflation Reduction Act. So they could smell it coming in August that if it was a new regime in the White House, that it might be repealed. We agree the partisan process of passing the IRA created a deeply flawed bill that will prevent the development of life-saving cures, empower the IRS to harass small businesses, and distort energy markets.
But we'd like to double down on that.
However, that's right. That's exactly right.
But
and then 2 paragraphs later, it says prematurely repealing energy tax credits, particularly those which were used to justify investments that already broke ground, would undermine private investments and stop development that is already ongoing. A full repeal would create a worst case scenario where we would have spent billions of taxpayer dollars and received next to nothing in return.
So we want to spend more billions of taxpayer dollars.
Break that down for a moment, right?
And still receive next to nothing.
Exactly. Energy tax credits, they go on to say, have spurred innovation, incentivized investment, and created good jobs in many parts of the country, including many districts represented by members of our conference. No kidding. And then they go on to say, as Republicans, we support an all of the above approach to energy development and tax credits. Watch for that phrase whenever you put your red flag up.
And I apologize, but I used to be an all of the above.
Yep.
And this goes back to 2011, 2012, all of the above. Great. Bring it on. But I've got a caveat with that. And I'm getting away from that methodology and that mindset because it's been bastardized so bad. But I'm about energy innovation. But the caveat for me is 5 years. I'm okay with
sunsets.
Cap it, sunset it.
Yep.
Here's your seed money. This could be the next latest, greatest energy innovation. This could be the flux capacitor.
You know that the government doesn't do that, though.
I
Once
know.
something starts, it's in perpetuity.
But that's why
Yes.
you need to put a time. And my rule of thumb is 5 years, because after that, what happens? You've taken the incentive from the private sector to innovate and make sure something's viable. If you're going to just subsidize it, and the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, especially in North Dakota, is ethanol. If you're going to subsidize, and by the way, people go, oh, there's no subsidies on it. You're right, but a mandate's a subsidy.
Yeah.
Call it what you will, a mandate. When you're mandated to have a certain amount of a product in another product, that's a subsidy. So when you're looking at energy innovation, that all of the above, quote unquote, needs to have a cap on it. Because the biggest detriment is, okay, you're taking the incentive to innovate and make it viable from the private sector, but what else are you doing? You're taking R&D dollars away from something that potentially could be that next big thing.
Right.
Whether it's a hydrogen,
innovation,
a flux capacitor,
whatever
it
is.
looks like.
Correct.
There needs to be a timeline on that. It's like, I'm a little okay with, here's your seed money, and this sounds like a good idea, and go start doing the research and the R&D on this, but you have to make it viable.
No,
Simple.
so in this
Pretty
case,
simple.
You're exactly right about it. But as soon as they say we support an all of the above approach to energy development and tax credits, that this is the last part, that incentivize domestic production, innovation, and delivery from all sources. So it's kind of a bait and switch on that.
But how do you incentivize
innovate.
or innovate domestic anything
And incentivize it.
when you're here. We're just going to put you on the taxpayer dole forever, and you don't have to do any of those other things that we're talking about.
Right. Well, this whole letter it's a one-pager. It's very concise. It says, "We appreciate your work to unite the conference on this important matter," meaning there are 18 of us and the rest of the conference needs to get on board with us because we say so. Please consider us partners in reforming our tax policies in a way that puts America first while ensuring certainty for industry and the energy sector. Then it is sincerely signed by 18 of these House members, including people. This is where they are from. And I did this last week. This is where they are from. They're from New York, California, Chavez DeRaymer from Oregon, Molinaro from New York, Indiana, New York, Virginia, New York, California, Utah, Don Bacon from Nebraska, who fits with the California people, and then New Jersey, Ohio. There's Marionette Miller Meeks from Iowa, Arizona, but Georgia and Nevada. And if you look at where they are from, and you look at these are
supposed to be Republicans.
These are not the conservative people. These are the guys who are there out to try to get things for their constituents in their states of New York and California.
Okay, and this is about energy.
Correct.
With the exception of California, which that's a different animal because of the climate politically there when it comes to oil and gas and energy, although they're one of the biggest consumers of energy. Nobody's from an energy state.
They're really not. That's the interesting part of it. You look at this, Nebraska's kind of in there, but Don Bacon is, but not really.
On the ethanol side, not on the actual production
and they do have 1 out of 18 from Iowa. 1.
Which I don't know they have any oil or gas wells in Iowa.
Exactly. So these are not energy states.
They're not energy producing states.
No, that's correct.
So blue states for one and non-energy producing states for another. And I'm throwing California out because that's just a mess. Mm-hmm. So that's the other takeaway on that. These aren't energy producing states. Where's the Oklahomas and the Texas and the North Dakota and the Wyoming? Yep, they're not there.
Yep. No, it's true. You just don't see them. It's just really interesting. I did my homework on this. They don't say what state they're from. I went and assigned the state so that I could figure it out.
Which means they're on the subsidy side.
Correct.
The scam side of, which is kind of around the periphery of energy production.
To me, that letter alone just identified what's going on. I mean, it was very obvious to me after looking at that there is a lobby out there that's jumping on board regarding these tax credits, and that's
where's our free money?
They're
and we're
trying
only $33 trillion
they're trying to
in debt.
protect the tax credits that the Biden administration enforced.
Yeah, we're not in debt, and we're not going to take your tax dollars and give it to. Well, I equate that to non-traditional energy producers, which we need them. We don't need the snake oil salesmen running around trying to collect stuff for their own states that they're not energy producers. They're energy consumers.
Exactly. So I've got North Dakota Industrial Commission information when we come back.
Oh, we got to hear about that. That's coming up next. I'm Steve Bakken along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to becktv.plus. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk. Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to becktv.plus, follow all things Summit Carbon Solutions, proposed CO2 pipeline. And, all right.
On the 12th, the North Dakota Industrial Commission had their meeting. It was really interesting because the time changed 3 times, too, for that meeting. And I don't know what that was all about.
I noticed that. They kept moving that around.
Yeah, it was 1 o'clock, then it was 1:30, then it was 2, then it became 3 p.m. And I thought...
Waiting for Burgum to get here?
I don't know. It was really odd. And maybe one of the other guys had a conflict and had trouble getting there. I don't know. But they did finally start at 3:07 in the afternoon, and they got going, and they just went through one little item, and then they went right straight to the 3 injection wells that they wanted to permit, and just went right straight through it. And it was fascinating to me because there were such innocuous and unimportant questions asked. There were like 3 questions asked by the commission people of the presenters of their recommendation that they pass it, and it was like they were all quite uninterested in any information. I was kind of shocked. I would have thought that there would have been a little bit more back and forth questioning about what was going on, but apparently it wasn't of interest.
One of the things that and for those that aren't familiar with the North Dakota Industrial Commission, of course, it's the governor, the ag commissioner, and
the attorney general.
Mm-hmm. And it's the most powerful commission in the state of North Dakota. And I throw the Public Service Commission like right below that because it affects people's lives. And the Public Service Commissioners have flat out said, and I will disagree with their interpretation, that in their permitting process, they're not allowed to look at public safety. Okay. There wasn't a single public safety concern, question, anything raised at the Industrial Commission level either. Who's in charge of taking care of North Dakotans? For me as an elected official, it comes back to public safety is number one. I'll jump on board with the property rights and everything else, but your job as an elected official is to make sure that your constituents are safe. Nobody's addressing the public safety issue on the permitting side of this.
Right.
So it's not the Public Service Commission who, if you read, I will say their interpretation says that, no, that is under your purvey. And the Industrial Commission's not addressing it. Who is? Who's in charge of North Dakotans' safety?
And the local subdivisions aren't allowed.
No. They took that away from the local political subdivisions.
Right. That's a great question. Maybe that's not of interest to them either. It appears that is low on the totem pole now. A couple of interesting notes. After the Industrial Commission, and you may have heard by now, the Industrial Commission unanimously approved all of those 9 different items and 3 separate Class 6 injection wells for Oliver and Mercer County and then one little area in Morton County. But at the same time, some interesting things were brought up, and that that leads me to the draft storage facility permit. The case number, by the way, is 30869 for this draft storage facility permit. It was established on April 15th, 2024. And if you look at the draft storage facility permit on page 5, on the top of page 5, it says specifics. It's talking about the operator shall notify the commission at least 48 hours in advance to witness a mechanical integrity test of the tubing casing annulus for the annulus for the injection and monitoring wells. The packer must be set within 100 feet of the uppermost perforation and in the 25 CR-80 casing for the TB Line Gang 1 and TB Line Gang 2 injectors and 13 CR-80 casing for the Milton Flemmer 1 monitor. That number 13 CR-80 is important because that happens to be...
We've talked about this before.
13 chrome steel. 13 chrome steel you may have heard us talk about previously because that is the same steel that was the steel that failed at the Decatur, Illinois ADM facility just a couple months ago.
And then upon further testing, they found a 100% fail rate with it eventually. Granted, it's over time, but a 100% fail rate in, and I forget which higher education institute. Do you recall?
I don't remember which one it was.
There was a university that did a bunch of studies on this, and they found a 100% fail rate.
So 13 chrome steel, people, is what we are getting with our injection wells, and particularly the Flemmer one. So Flemmer 1 monitor and 13 CR-80 casing for the Milton Flemmer 1 monitor. Depending on evaluation, the operator shall run the same test on a 5-year schedule for the TB Line Gang 1, TB Line Gang 2, and Milton Flemmer 1 wells. So 5 years before you have to do the testing again. It's not constant. It's not weekly. It's not yearly. It's 5 years.
The thing with the Industrial Commission on these permits is, for those that don't know, the Public Service Commission, the siting side of it. The Industrial Commission, there's a bunch of different permits that fall under their purvey because it's the injection side, the permitting for the facilities. They're not dealing specifically with the pipeline. They're dealing with all the ancillary stuff that has to go around that pipeline.
So right after the North Dakota Industrial Commission made their ruling on December 12th, that same day there was a news release put out by Dakota Resource Council and Zach Cassidy, and then Bold Alliance, and that's Mark Hefflinger in Nebraska. The pipeline fight continues. It is titled, After the North Dakota Industrial Commission Permits Summit CO2 Wells. The line underneath it says Summit still needs a pipeline state permit in South Dakota. Meanwhile, several court cases are also pending, it says. Bismarck landowners and grassroots advocacy organizers vow to continue fighting after an unsurprising decision by the Industrial Commission. The North Dakota Industrial Commission, comprised, as you said, of Governor Doug Burgum, the Attorney General, and the Agriculture Commissioner, approved Summit Carbon Solutions permits for Class 6 injection wells. Summit's permit in Minnesota was also granted today on the 12th by the state's Public Utilities Commission in Minnesota. Summit proposes to use these wells to inject carbon dioxide captured from 57 ethanol plants across Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, and the Dakotas, a mile underground in Oliver and Mercer counties, beneath the homes of residents and the larger communities. The underground stored CO2 has been associated with potential hazards due to the nature of the chemical, including its corrosiveness and the risks it may pose to public safety. Recently, an underground breach occurred at an ADM-operated sequestration facility in Decatur, Illinois, the first commercial geologic sequestration operation in the United States. CO2 corroded that equipment, allowing the gas to migrate beyond the defined storage zone, narrowly avoiding the acidification of an aquifer that serves as a source of drinking water. Summit proposes to use the same grade material in North Dakota that was corrupted by carbon dioxide at the Decatur facility. Somebody's not paying attention here.
Somebody's not paying attention. Again, who's supposed to be in charge of the public safety side of things? And nobody wants to address it.
Fair question.
Lori Hintz with Beck News. I'm Steve Bach, and this is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
News Talk Bismarck Mandan. Super Talk 1270. Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bach, along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to becktv.plus, follow all things Summit Carbon Solutions proposed CO2 pipeline. One of the other things with the Industrial Commission meeting that came out, and it was weird because, like you said, they moved the time 3 times. I was trying to juggle around, trying to catch a little bit of it online. I was like, what's going on now? One of the things that came out of it, a lot of things came out of it. One was a report by the CO2 education and outreach team, the project update.
31 pages.
You know, the $300,000 of my tax dollars, your tax dollars. At work to re-educate, quote unquote, just build the camps and stick us all in that. But re-educate about CO2. Mm-hmm. It's like, what do you have to re-educate me about? That you're scamming my tax dollars on a federal level to make money, and you don't care about my personal health and safety. That's not what
they're teaching you.
Oh, but I already know that. You don't have to educate me on it. So I want to go through the team because this was, again, the title is CO2 Education and Outreach Project Update for the North Dakota Industrial Commission. And this we talked about it before, $300,000, our tax dollars, going to educate. So it's $300,000 going to support a private industry.
Correct.
There's so many things I applaud.
There's nothing public about this other than re-education of the public.
So here's the team in charge of re-educating us. And this is just a marketing tool. Brent Bogart, project lead. Marty Dahl, senior communications strategist. Heather Severson, media marketing specialist. Cody Schuler, video and digital marketing specialist. Jeff Simon, executive director, Western Dakota Energy. Raquel Strand, communication strategist. Chris Legassi, graphic designer. Mike Witt, web specialist. Elijah Swenson, social media marketing specialist. And Scott Hannon, partner in the Fieldstone Group. And by the way, if you ever look up who the principals of the Fieldstone Group are, you'll see why they're getting the money. Also interesting on this, NDSU Extension, EERC, EdND, which is the Economic Development Association of North Dakota, North Dakota Ethanol Council, Lignite Energy Council, North Dakota Petroleum Council.
So
this is the team in charge of re-educating us because who's making money off this?
So who's and the EERC and NDSU, are those not state entities that we're also paying for at this point? So we're paying for those people, and additionally paying for them to re-educate us.
This is just a money suck like you would not believe.
Well, for
Kelly Armstrong can't get there quick enough.
I know,
Please.
right? I know.
Just
so true.
You cannot make this up.
There's another portion of this that was really interesting to me. It was kind of micro-targeting. And what they did is they profiled individual people, and I don't know how many there are on there, 16 different ones,
anybody who is opposed to their
9,
project
13.
And their money grab.
Yeah.
We've now been categorized.
So these, what they have done.
This is part of their marketing strategy.
This is part of their marketing strategy. They've named the type of person that needs the re-education.
You know who did a marketing strategy like this? The Nazis.
This is really creepy.
This is creepy.
And I'm going to give you some of the names of who they say: Advocate Anna, Activist Sarah, Average Joe, Community Organizer Nancy, Firefighter Carl, Healthcare Laura, Emily and Mark, just two people, Educator Jason, Rancher Rick, and like they put those a little later in the group, Farmer Jack, Retired Gary, and Political Sam. So these people, they have profiled.
We all been profiled.
They have profiled people.
We fall into a category.
That was shocking to me when I saw that, and I understand what they're doing. They're trying to figure out who the quote enemy is that needs re-education, but that was abhorrent.
So they can send different messaging out to. Wait a minute. I think I've seen this before. Isn't that what Summit's been doing? One message in Iowa, one message in South Dakota, one message on their website.
Everybody gets something tailored to them, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's not consistent, which is why everybody's so confused on the...
And concerned. And should be concerned.
Correct. No, that was personas, it says. If you look it up in the North Dakota Industrial Commission docket, you can find it. It was there for everybody to see, and I opened it up and looked at it, and I was surprised, to say the least. That was shocking. I was like, I guess that one over there is me. And what are they going to be targeting? So at least you'll know what's coming, because, if you fit into a quote category, I just thought that was absurd. That was absurd. And my own tax dollars going toward it is not my favorite thing either.
No. There's so many different levels that this is wrong. And I'll put it on another platform. It's wrong, period. It's wrong in North Dakota. This is not how we function in North Dakota. It's never been, nor should it be, how we do business in North Dakota on the backs of North Dakota taxpayers, on the backs of North Dakota farmers, on the backs of North Dakota ranchers, on the backs of North Dakota citizens. This is not the government that is supposed to be representing the people.
How do you feel about being called Rancher Rick or Farmer Jack or Retired Gary or Plant Worker David or Firefighter Carl, Community Organizer Nancy? I couldn't believe it when I looked at that. I was like, okay, I know what they're doing, but I can't believe that they so boldly put that out there for everyone to see.
It's not gender based. It's not anything other than it's carbon bias. You talk about race baiting and gender baiting. It's carbon baiting. I'm like, why is that even a thing?
Yeah, that was really interesting.
I mean, honest to God, that should terrify people.
Yeah.
That your tax dollars are being spent on a covert, and I'll call them covert, quasi hit team to re-educate those that might be opposed to, and your tax dollars are paying for it.
And since when in America are we not allowed to have our own free will and free speech and thinking about things on our own?
If the First Amendment doesn't fit into the narrative, we're going to tell you what the First Amendment should be. I'm like, I don't expect this coming from Republicans.
I really don't either.
Supposedly it is.
Yeah. Shocking.
There's so many things wrong on so many levels with this, and the one that was missing on the personas is innocuous errand, because there's a lot of people that just don't know what's going on.
And there is a lot of apathy about this. If you look at CO2 like a normal human being does, you don't see any danger whatsoever. The problem is that there is danger when you have over 2,100 PSIG in a 24-inch pipeline around
naturally occurring
people.
In the air and out in nature.
0.04% is fine. This is so high concentration, you asphyxiate if you come in contact with it, and you die. Well, you die, at least not super painful death. It's just a quick death. Yeah,
your tax dollars hard to work. Well, you're either going to freeze to death or you're going to suffocate. So,
exactly.
This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk.
Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bach, along with Lori Hintz from Beck News. You can go to BeckTV.plus, find all things Semiconductor Solutions proposed CO2 pipeline. One of the things I want to get into, too, a little bit is the timeline, because that's getting more and more important as things are getting pushed back a little bit. And I was reading an article about PHMSA and what they're potentially waiting on. We'll talk about that as well. But one of the things came out in an article, and it kind of cracked me up. I'm like, but good Lord, they're right. We have to inject it, so we'll find out what it can do.
That is not really very comforting.
It's like Obamacare. We got to pass it so we can find out what's in it.
That is frightening. And in addition to that, the fact that people want to use you as a guinea pig is not very comforting. I don't like the idea. I don't know how many times I've heard various ranchers and farmers and people associated with this say, well, what are they? Why are they experimenting on us? Why are we the experiment?
Okay, one of the things because it was in recent timeline. Do you remember when they wanted to do that test boring up near Rugby, North Dakota, and people locally lost their crap, and because there was a rumor that they were looking at, it's for the oil industry, and they want to do a test well so they can bury radioactive material. And it's like, okay.
I remember.
It wasn't.
It was rejected.
It was rejected.
Soundly.
And actually, I think it would have been the second deepest boring. I mean, the scientific information that would have been found in that would have been amazing. But it wasn't about what people's perception was. I kind of equate this a little bit to that, because locally people went, no, not here. We're not going to put a garbage dump here.
Well, they call it NIMBY, NIMBY, not in my backyard.
But now we've got a scenario where they want to put a garbage dump in North Dakota for CO2. I'm like, there's a little correlation here to me, because it's injection.
Right. And Scott Skokas, who is at the Dakota Resource Council, actually has a quote in the press release that came out the same day as the North Dakota Industrial Commission's decision. And he says, furthermore, recent incidents in Illinois where CO2 leaked underground demonstrate that we do not know enough about this technology to use North Dakota as a testing ground. Even Summit has stated they cannot know the impacts of carbon dumping until they do them. So exactly as you said, we need to pass it to we need to pass it to
be Love Canal.
Or we could, have problems like they did in Illinois and get really close and maybe to the aquifer, which is really troubling.
2 weeks ago, go back and watch the Burleigh County Commission meeting where
there Summit people there again?
Was talking about what could happen with the salt water. Mm-hmm. And, I'm kind of proud of the fact that North Dakota feeds the world. We truly do. 17 commodities, we're the number one producer. What happens if all this salt water gets to the surface because it's pressured out of where it normally exists? Whether that's on a large scale or a small scale.
Does it ruin the soil?
Add salt water to soil, you'll see what happens. What happens when there's a salt water spill out in the oil patch? Mm-hmm.
I'm not a rancher, but I do have common sense, and I do realize that
stuff doesn't grow that is consumable in an alkali flat.
Yep.
Period. So I would think anything putting North Dakota agriculture at risk for the sake of a small segment of North Dakota agriculture, one commodity, which, oh, by the way, there's only one ethanol plant in North Dakota to benefit our corn growers.
Yeah, of those 57 ethanol plants, I don't people realize that those are not North Dakota ethanol plants.
They're not North Dakota ethanol plants.
No, there's one, and it's on the eastern side of the state in Cass County area.
So what farmers are you benefiting? Not ours. Not ours. And by the way, I heard Thorolson might be considering pulling out of that with their ethanol plant because of some of what's going on and lack of information. And there is so many unknowns with this. It's like, hey, we're going to potentially wreak havoc on what could be junk science for the sake of a big experiment?
Well, Summit does continue to face some significant challenges. It encounters multiple permit appeals, local zoning regulations across the 5-state footprint. So various counties are pushing back separate lawsuits. According to this press release, it says separate lawsuits over the Public Service Commission's permitting decision have been launched by landowners and by Burleigh County. Additionally, the Northwest Landowners Association is suing the state over its amalgamation law, which allows the state to take away landowners' mineral rights without the usual legal remedies granted by eminent domain. They view it as a taking, and that's a phrase that everybody needs to get familiar with on this one.
Well,
too.
You might be familiar with a correlating term. It's called theft. So theft, taking, same thing.
Amalgamation.
Yes, theft, amalgamation, taking, they all equate to the same thing.
Now, this was a real interesting release by Hefflinger and also Emma Schmidt, Bold Alliance Pipeline Fighters Director. She says, we never expected any other outcome from this commission, particularly given Governor Burgum's business and political relationship with Summit's major investment partner, Continental Resources. At the end of the day, this predictable decision won't make a difference to the widespread project resistance. We'll continue to do everything we can to topple this stacked deck in order to protect the property rights and well-being of North Dakotans, she said.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Injected, so we'll see what happens.
That's troubling.
Yeah. There are so many different levels of what is going on. And to me, again, it still comes back to nobody's talking about public safety. What about the farmers and ranchers who
are along the route?
Or in the injection areas.
Right?
And that area is sizable when you start talking about the plume modeling from underground. And what are you displacing that's already there? In most cases, it's salt water. It could be minerals for a mineral holder. Now you're going to take the their potential mineral rights away from something else. I just, there's so many pieces of this that just does not fit the fabric of North Dakota. I want to hold you over for one more break, Lori,
Okay.
one more segment, because we still got a lot to cover, and hey, we could probably do 2 hours today on this. But, this is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Talk of the Town, weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app. Without apology, The Regular Joe Show with Joe Gigante. Weekday evenings at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken. Got some guests in the studio this morning. In fact, I'll let them introduce themselves. Taylor, Jordan, Renee. Okay, Taylor, we're going to start with you.
My name's Taylor. I'm a junior, and I'm from Bismarck High School.
And Jordan?
I'm Jordan. I'm also a junior, and I also go to BHS.
I'm Renee, and I also go to BHS, and I'm a junior.
Okay, so you guys are part of a student subcommittee. So, Jordan, what is the student committee that you guys are part of?
The student committee is for students who have a dedication to reducing underage drinking and marijuana use. We develop and carry out prevention projects that are aimed at educating and raising awareness of the dangers of substance abuse. Our efforts are aimed mostly at our peers and fellow students, but also adults and guardians of the teens.
Okay, Taylor, why did you join the student committee?
I joined the student committee to prevent awareness for all my peers in the school. Since I'm a teenager, I see a lot of it around high school, and I really want to prevent awareness for others who use tobacco products.
So, as a teenager, this is kind of an interesting with your peers, because I'm trying to remember way back when I was in high school, and it was tough. You know, all that peer pressure and everything. I mean, has that changed over the years, or is that still things that you guys go through?
I definitely see a lot of peer pressure throughout high school, especially with non-sport athletes who are always using the drugs, but I've tended to stay away from it, so.
Okay, so Renee, as a teen, how important is it for your parents to talk to you about underage drinking and marijuana and some of the other dangers out there, vaping, all that stuff? I mean, I can imagine, I remember having that talk when I was in middle school with my parents.
Yeah, as a teen myself, I know that how important it is for us all to know and be aware of the issues throughout the schools and everywhere. And I think it's very important for us to know, like, what are the possibilities that could happen, like what these things could do to us in our bodies and how it affects us as people.
So we're talking with Renee, Jordan, and Taylor, students at BHS, Bismarck High School, part of the Burley Morton Behavioral Health Student Coalition, and some of the things they deal with and try to prevent with underage drinking, the vaping, tobacco, all the different things that can rear their ugly head when a teenager is in high school. So, Jordan, what are some of the projects you guys are working on?
One of the projects that we have completed this year is called a sticker shock. That's when the student committee gets together and places sticker on popcorn bags for sporting events. And an example of a message that would be on one of the bags is, parents are the number one reason kids don't drink. It starts at home. Talk early and talk often.
That's kind of cool, because I've actually been to football and basketball games, and you see the sticker on the popcorn bag. Mm-hmm. Kind of cool. All right, so Taylor, what else are you guys doing?
Another project that we are working on is the radio ads, and these ads are aimed at parents to educate them about the dangers and effects of underage substance use. It is also used to encourage communication with their kids, whether it is lighter topics like friends and school, or more serious topics like alcohol and marijuana usage.
Renee, what are some of the future projects you guys want to work on? Because I know as a student subcommittee, you guys are kind of planning things new and fun things to kind of get the message out there.
So some future projects we're working on are coffee sleeves and some coasters. Student committee works with local establishments to spread awareness and help combat against minors getting access to alcohol and drugs. The sleeves coasters and stickers have messages that are aimed at adults and guardians, talking about the influences they have on their children's decisions when it comes to the substances.
Okay, so there's a peer side of that too, because I've been to coffee shops or ordered a pizza and you get the sticker there. But talk about the peer-to-peer, because that's a big component of this as well.
So we have been talking about going to local elementary schools and educating children about the dangers and effects of underage drinking. Student committee also has written letters to graduating seniors with positive messages to encourage making good choices.
So I can imagine that getting to talk to the younger kids, as you know, because elementary kids are like, okay, unless you got an older sibling that's in high school, it's kind of, you know, that next school is a little terrifying and the next school is a little terrifying, and kind of having that communication with the kids as they're growing up. I mean, that's got to be a big, kind of a big role for you guys in high school.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big role for us to show younger students like the pros and cons of what they're doing. It can impact their future life, especially coming to high school and knowing that the substances are around the high schools and you have to be aware of your peers doing it and try to avoid some of the peer pressure that comes with moving to different schools.
Okay, so Jordan, I can imagine with every subcommittee you kind of put together your agenda items and what you guys want to address, and well, the last piece of that's the call to action. So what are you guys looking to accomplish?
Another project that we're hoping to accomplish this year is our Super Bowl sticker shock. This project, it's similar to the popcorn sticker shock, but we place stickers on pizza boxes, and our goal is to raise awareness of the effects that can occur when providing alcohol to minors. Because there's so many adults in the community that did not know about the $3,000 fine, if any pizza place is interested, or if anyone knows any place that would be interested, you can contact Madison Peterson from Bismarck Burley Public Health.
And the number over there is 701-934-0032. Kind of that message is, know the law, no providing alcohol to a minor may result in fines up to $3,000, up to 365 days in jail. Don't assume anything. I do have to ask, though, Jordan, so Super Bowl, who are you rooting for?
Oh, God, I don't even know. Probably the Vikings.
All right, good. All right, while we're on the topic, Taylor, who are you rooting for? Who's your team?
Packers.
Oh, okay, there's the door. Leave. Renee?
School!
All right, I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, Taylor, why is this important, making sure this message gets out like this?
Underage drinking and drug use is a community concern, and the most effective way to address it is through community involvement and participation. We are asking parents to talk with their teens about drinking and drug use, and also raising awareness of the dangers of the underage drinking and the drug use.
So a great agenda, a great item. We're going to talk more with the student subcommittee, Renee, Jordan, Taylor, with the Burley Morton Behavioral Health Student Coalition. Also, we're going to talk with Madison with the Burley Morton Behavioral Health as well. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk. Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bach, along with Renee, Jordan, Taylor from the BHS Student Subcommittee, Burley Morton Behavioral Health Student Coalition, putting together a campaign to make sure that they can help mitigating student drinking, tobacco use, vaping, marijuana, all of the things that are the dangers of kids today in high school. And Renee, okay, when you start boiling down the numbers and going, because a lot of people go, well, is there a problem? And yeah, there is. If one kid is affected, yeah, there's a problem there. So what is the drinking rate for Bismarck high schools? And we're talking about Bismarck High School specifically because that's where this committee's from. But what is that rate?
So in 2023, 25% of Bismarck High School students current drank alcohol in the past 30 days compared to 20% ND high school students. So compared to 2021, 30% of Bismarck Mandan high school students drank alcohol in the past 30 days compared to 24% ND high school students.
So we're seeing that number come down a little bit. So, and this subcommittee, and not you guys, but other people ahead of you have been really making an impact. 5%, that's a big number. It's got to make you feel good to know that you're carrying on that tradition. So, Jordan, how did this become a problem?
In 2019, it was found that 62% of Bismarck and Mandan's youth found it extremely easy to sneak alcohol from their home or from their friend's home. And that's obviously a problem because 62% is extremely high, and that's not safe for our youth. But fortunately, in 2022, that statistic went down to 57% of Bismarck and Mandan's youth.
So again, you're seeing the impact, and being part of this subcommittee, it's got to really mean a lot to you, the being involved with something that's making a difference to your peers. Mm-hmm. Taylor, I remember back when I was in high school, and there were different cliques of kids that those that drank and those that didn't, and the jocks and this and that, and marijuana use was a thing in a small group of people. What's the rate for BHS in the high schools here?
In 2023, 15% of the Bismarck Mandan High School students currently use marijuana in the past 30 days, compared to 11% of the North Dakota high school students. And then compared to 2021, 13% of the Bismarck Mandan high school students currently use marijuana in the past 30 days, which is kind of going up. So it's kind of a problem. So that's what our job is to help lower it. So
making aware, bringing awareness to people is, hey, you shouldn't be doing that right now, right?
Yeah.
So the little bit of work there to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Renee, how did this become a problem? I mean, overall, what are we looking at here?
I mean, I really think the big issue is the easy access throughout the schools, and it's not very hard for people to find other people who have these items or asking people, and it's very a widely issue, and I think that's what makes it such a big problem because it's such easy access. And we have some research that 219 out of 219 youth in the Bismarck area said it's very easy to get marijuana. So that kind of proves a point there how easy the access is to these underage activities.
So I don't want you to name any names, but as a student, if you wanted to go out and get alcohol or tobacco, you could go get it, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah. I definitely think people find a way in less than 5 minutes.
So that brings back the point of how important having that messaging is and making good choices. I mean, you guys are out there, you're living this, you're telling people, it's like, hey, make sure that you're doing the right thing. And are you getting buy-in from your peers, from the other students?
Well, I mean, we saw some research, some statistics that showed that there was a drop in the amount of people doing things at our school, I guess. But I mean, I know that everyone sees the message and everyone understands what we're saying. So all we really hope for is that we know that some kids might be like, oh, that's dumb. That doesn't matter. How is that going to affect me? But I think the thing to know is deep down inside that it really does affect you and what can happen to you, and making them aware of these things to maybe have a sense of scaring them to not do these things that are bad for you.
Well, and parents and they know what they dealt with when they were in high school, and community leaders and stuff, and but when it comes back to the kids and the kids going, yeah, I'm going to listen to that message. I mean, are you getting a sense that student population, your friends, they're hearing the message and they're like, yeah, you're right?
I definitely think some of the people at our school are hearing our message, especially when you're walking to the bathrooms. I know when I was a freshman, I was scared to use the bathrooms pretty often because I would always see a group of people in there. But as the years have progressed, after we've been talking about it, I really haven't seen all that stuff going on as much. So I feel like people are definitely taking in what we're saying, especially our close friends that we're friends with. We're trying to help make them stop, and I feel like they're definitely hearing what we're trying to say.
So Taylor, what other impacts have you seen other than, as a freshman, the seniors are scary in the bathroom, so they're not going to shove you in a locker. You're fine. No swirlies either. So, but because you found that out, right?
Sure did.
They don't actually do that. Okay. What else have you seen as far as impacts?
We have also seen a decrease in alcohol use. According to the risk behavior survey, that we have seen a 5% decrease from 2021 to 2023, which is through us talking with the people and helping them out once again with our messages that we have been working on.
That's awesome. How did you guys get involved with this in the first place? There's a lot of things to join when you're in high school. It's like, okay, Glee Club or subcommittee. I don't know. How does that work? I mean, how did you get involved with that?
I had an older sister who was a part of this committee a few years ago, and she always talked about how she felt she left an impact on the community and our peers, so it was an easy choice to make, and I just feel like I wanted to be a part of this committee.
Well, it's kind of cool because she must have made an impact on you, too.
Yep, for sure.
Renee?
I also think, like, us coming together as friends, we've kind of benefited off of each other, like, encouraging each other to do these things for our school, and we're also, like, involved in many other things together, so I think just like encouraging each other to do it has also like helped us send this message out.
Taylor?
I agree. I just think that what we're doing is really good for our school, especially since we're super close and we're involved in like student council and many other sports, and us coming together can really help improve our community.
Well, thanks for what you guys are doing. I really appreciate this.
Anytime.
Not an issue.
So, Madison, you're the substance abuse prevention intern. Actually, you went to BSC. You went currently going to Minot State. This is part of what you are career pathing is substance abuse, and so Burley Morton Behavioral Health Student Coalition. You got to be pretty proud of these girls.
Oh yes, they've been actually doing so much so far. It hasn't even been that long. I do believe with how excited and how determined they are currently that we might actually get a lot done this upcoming year.
Well, when you're looking at the numbers and there's places for work, but you're seeing a lot of the traditional issues that kids have in high school, you see those numbers coming down. And for me, a lot of things come back to just better lines of communication. I can imagine a lot of that starts at home, and kids that don't have those opportunities at home, it really comes from your peers.
Oh, yes. That's why part of our biggest messaging is to kind of talk about how we just want parents to be involved, even if it isn't just talking about substances, just trying to be more involved with your kids, create communication, and not only that, but show that with the younger kids, like there are kids who are older who want to be good role models and show more positive behavior. So we're hoping that through this that we can get some messaging out, get some people thinking and talking.
Well, keep up the good work, Madison. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Yes, thank you so much.
Madison, Renee, Jordan, Taylor, all part of the Burley Morton Behavioral Health Student Coalition to help mitigate substance abuse issues. They work at BHS and are students at BHS. So, but across the entire school district, Bismarck, Mandan, all of it, always a good message. Whether you're in high school or middle school, you make good choices, and that's really the message out there. And talk to somebody. There's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of things that are detrimental to student development. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
To Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bakken, along with Brad Ock, General Manager over at Runnings, the cool running store, 701 South Washington in Bismarck. Not that they're not all cool, Brad, but you've got the best one, at least according to me, because I shop there all the time. And
I would agree.
I hope you had a good Christmas.
I did. It was good. It's been a great December, and I got a nice day at home with the kids and played with some new toys and built some projects. It was a good time.
So you were playing with the kids' toys, and they kept going, hey, Mom, Dad won't give the toys back, right?
Absolutely. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, I
right?
figured as much.
You get the toys you also want to play with.
Of course. I'm still looking for Rock'em Sock'em Robots to come back. That was one of my favorites when I was growing up. So Happy New Year. That's coming right around the corner as well, and you guys have got a great flyer. So anything that you didn't get for Christmas, you probably got a good idea to go buy it yourself and save, because there's tools in here, there's clothing, there's baking stuff. So if you ran through some stuff with your baking supplies, great opportunity to buy it now because it's all on sale.
Yeah, and so that sale technically starts here in a couple days on the 1st. But currently, we still got that DeWalt sale for another 2 days, today and tomorrow yet. You have the DeWalt sale. There's the final 2 days of that. We got 50% off toys, 50% off Christmas candy, So there's a little bit of holiday decor in there, and then we got some fun little, in-store specials on slippers and stuff too. So we got some deals going on right now, and they just say, "Hey, Brad talked about this ad. I want the deal."
Perfect. Well, okay, let's start with some of the tools, because on top of what you typically have in the DeWalt sale going on right now, you actually have a new flyer coming out for the first, but you can get it now if you really ask, because Brad's soft that way. DeWalt and Milwaukee are going to be in this one.
Yeah, and I think a really cool one in here is you don't see Diablo ever really advertised with us, and it's just a really, really great brand. And I don't know, I rarely ever see it on sale. So if you need some router bits or a couple different blades, this is a great time. Diablo's 20% off, and it never goes on sale, and it's just one of those really, really good brands. And people are into it. They just don't ever get a chance to see it go on sale, and now it is. Stock
up for the entire season. I love that. Get them now. And, of course, also you've got pet season, because I haven't seen a flyer with as much pet stuff in it as I've seen for a while, because other things were getting in the way. Well, we got to take care of our pets, especially with the colder temperatures. You've got horse products, dog, cat, even the bird food in there for our little feathered friends. A little something for everybody. Yeah, it's a great ad. And if you don't make it in today, if you make it in tomorrow, you will see that ad out in our entryway. We have the finder out there, and our ad is in it. So a lot of people just grab it, and then they go shop the ad a day early. And that's just how it typically works. You got a couple things. Once the finder hits there, you just got to go see it. You got a couple things in here I haven't seen before, including kind of an exclusive little runnings thing, because you and I have talked about the Coleman golf cart in the past. How about a youth ATV from Coleman, or a little mini bike from Coleman? I've not seen those before. It's cool to see these come back. And the thing is Coleman, Coleman sold out. I think it was last year or the year prior. And Champion Motorsports bought them. And Champion redesigned the ATVs, the mini bikes. They're slick looking. They look cool. I feel like they did a really good job making these things look sharp and updated. And they're finally back in store. And they've been selling really well. And we haven't really advertised the fact that we have the new ones in here yet, because we just wanted to kind of test it out and see how it went. And we've had really good luck with them. So if you had those mini bikes in the past, they're back in the store. And, of course, the name attached with that is Coleman. And when you think about camping, you think about Coleman as one of the names that pop out there. And, you throw this in the back of your pickup, your toy hauler, whatever. Fun for the kids while you're out camping. Keep them a little distracted for a while. It's a good thing. It's a win for everybody, Brad. Yeah, and I want to interrupt, and I want to make a transition over to horse really quick, to equine. And if you are a Triple Crown user, that is on sale right now. So they have the performance, they have the bouncer, senior. I mean, Triple Crown's been from an equine standpoint, has performed well for us, and the people who are using it tend to like it. We still have the staples, but if you have, if Triple Crown's your brand, it's currently running on sale, $4 or $5 off per bag. Plus, we've had some requests for this Unbeatable brand starting last year. And it's something we had rolled into our store here in the middle of the summer, and it's done well. And they're running those. The Unbeatable feeds on sale right now, too. So there's a lot of new things coming into the store from an equine side and a pet side. I just wanted to throw out there really quick for some of those customers who might be looking for that stuff. And if you're working with your horses or your stock in general, you've got to have the neoprene boots. They have come a long way, and you guys have got the entire line, whether you're looking for the lightweight ones that maybe aren't as insulated, all the way from kids' boots to adult boots, all the way to the heavy Sub-Zero peak high neoprene boots. That's really a staple when it comes to working with stock, and you've got one for everybody. And all the muds are on sale right now. So, the coolest thing about that is when I work bees in the summer, at the end of the summer or fall with my uncle,
that I wear the neoprene boots just because I can take them with a pressure washer and you can spray off all the gunk, right? They're not leather. They're neoprene all the way up, halfway up the calf typically. And you can just pressure wash those bad boys and clean them right up and then turn around the next day and go shovel snow and use them for winter.
All right, we've been spoiled with the temperatures. We're starting to get a little bit colder again, and that means we're probably going to be getting some snow, and you still have a great selection of snow blowers.
Yeah, the last couple little snowstorm-ishy moments we had sold a couple of each, more than I anticipated. But we had more come in. We just had 8 or 9 come in last week again. We built them and put them out. We probably have 20-plus snowblowers on the floor. The really neat part is we have a snowblower out there made by Cub Cadet, licensed through DeWalt. So it's got the DeWalt logo on it, but Cub Cadet makes it. So we will still do all the warranty work on that, but it's battery powered.
Wow.
It runs on 60-volt DeWalt batteries, 2 of them. So we had a gentleman come in and get one for his kid, and they loved it, and they came back in, they bought our other one. So for his other kid. So we're waiting to get a couple more of those in, but we've sold like 8 of these things, and everybody who has used this has loved it. And I tell you what, I'm too skeptical on a battery-powered snowblower, but these guys love it.
If DeWalt puts their name on it, you know it's quality. So, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Cub Cadet's warranty.
Right. So, best of all worlds. And, of course, with Runnings, one of the things you guys do is get into the community. Always an opportunity. If somebody's got something going on, helping out kids, farm, ranch, 4-H, fundraisers, you guys are always right there to pitch in. You're part of the community.
Yep, and we're turning a new year, so it's time to look at new opportunities and new things to do and help out with. So this is a great time. We got a couple ice fishing tournaments coming up in the next couple months. We're going and doing, and we're always looking at fun new things to do. So you got to come hit us up.
Well, Brad, a happy New Year to you, and have a good one, and we'll see you in the new year.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Brad Ock, General Manager at Runnings, the cool running store, 701 South Washington and Bismarck. This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
1270. Welcome back to Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Super Talk 1270, you're tuned to Talk of the Town. I'm Steve Bach, along with Tom Brittle, owner of the Bismarck Bobcats, and Bobcats with a little hiatus, but there is a tradition on New Year's Eve like no other, and that's the Bobcats playing the Minot Minotauros. Tom, always a fun night, isn't it?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. As we move through the holidays, and I hope everyone had a great Christmas, we do the tradition. And I think we've been doing it about 10 or 12 years, maybe longer. I'm not sure, but Minot is always good enough to come down, and it's just a terrific time, and our fans really enjoyed it. So a lot of fun on the ice, for sure. It's intense. This year will be no exception. And then off the ice, it's just always a ton of fun. And New Year's Eve will be great.
Well, I want to talk about some of the off-the-ice stuff, but let's talk about on the ice first. Teeing up for the first half of the season, it's been a good run so far, hasn't it?
Well, the boys have played really well and pretty darn consistent of late. We've been running into, it seems like every year there's a little bit of an injury bite and other things, but in spite of that, the boys have played really hard. We've been talking about how deep we are, and we really are a deep club, and so that's helped us. So the holiday season came just in time, as we have 3 guys that are dinged up, and then, of course, we have Sasha Kim playing for World Juniors that we can talk about a little bit, as you can actually watch that. So that'll be fun, but he'll be coming back in the middle of January. So as we get healthy and we move into the second half of the season, which is going to be a bit of a tougher grind. We played Aberdeen only a couple times. Austin, we played 4 times. 6, make that 6. Minot only a couple. So the top 4 teams, we haven't seen much of them. And so the fans and the boys are in for a treat. It's going to be really competitive down the stretch here.
It's going to be an interesting second half of the season because it's kind of like you're backloaded this year with a lot of really tough teams. I want to talk about Kim a little bit because what's that opportunity mean for not only a player that gets to go off and elevate their playing at that level for that period of time, but I can imagine when that player comes back, that there's some learning opportunities or some things the other boys can glean off of that player and that experience. So it's kind of a good thing for the entire team when you have a player that goes off to compete in a competition like that.
Yeah, it is without a doubt. You know, he's a nice boy, too, and he's articulate. His English is nearly perfect. So he's a big part of the team. The boys will be watching him, I'm sure. But what happens is when you're playing at that level, you know, you get kind of a quick dose of hockey maturity, too, right? And confidence. And, of course, he's played really well for the last year and a half. But even it's just another jump. And so it's a nice exposure for him. It's really nice for the Bobcats, frankly, because as people overseas get the word that, you know, the Bobcats have a boy playing World Juniors, you know, maybe we get another boy or two from Kazakhstan or Finland, who knows, just because of a broader reach, which is important. As we've been talking with 8 imports, of course, we want to get the best players we can get, you know, right in Bismarck. And so it's just a win-win-win all the way around. And we get him back in mid-January. We'll have his talent on the ice. And like I said, hopefully some of these other boys and back on the club and healthy, too.
So when you start looking at the second half of the season, again, you had a lot of the teams that are new teams to the league. I don't want to say a soft schedule, but it really teed up well for building chemistry and that depth and getting the kids' legs underneath them and building that confidence. That's going to play well going into the backside of the season because you're right, Tom. It's going to be a tough January, February, March, and April.
It's going to be crazy, you know, and all the scheduling and stuff, because we haven't played them means they haven't really played us either. And so just the way it worked out, you know, with the home ice dates that were provided, a lot of the clubs have not, we just haven't played very much. So in hindsight, you kind of look back, well, geez, why is that? But in foresight, it's exciting as hell because this second half is just going to be 3 games, but I think the next team's only lost 5, the next team's only lost 6, the next team 7. So as usual, Central Division of the NA is just, it's going to be a dogfight. And, you know, we like our chances. A lot of it's going to come down to staying healthy and continuing that confidence, you know, and execution, you know, that they've shown so far. It's going to be just fun as hell.
You mentioned some of the injuries, so this little break, good timing. Get healthy, get the legs back under themselves. But when you're looking at depth, and you talk about bringing kids in and kind of setting the team up for that final run and run into the playoffs, how hard is it? I mean, it's a luxury, but how hard is it looking at some other players when you've got so much depth on the team that it's kind of next man up? And how do you get ice time for kids that deserve ice time, but, you know, they're there when you need them, but it's really hard to crack this lineup, isn't it?
That's why the coaches get the big bucks, huh?
Yeah, you need a bigger bus.
Yeah, it is. But the good news is, and all the boys, you know, the locker room is solid, and there's been great buy-in. So the good news is that if you can roll 4 lines, I mean, yeah, they have to compete for the power play. That's just life, right? We all have to compete for stuff. So they'll compete for power play time and penalty kill time. But in terms of regular shifts, like if you can roll 4 lines like we think we can over the course of a season, you know, that pays huge dividends. And, you know, the last component, of course, is our goaltending, which has been really solid. And if they can stay healthy, you know, they give you a good chance every night, right? And so it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a dogfight, get a little redundant, but I'm excited. I'm truly excited about it. It's going to be a ton of fun for the fans.
If you can roll a solid 4 lines, that means by the time the third period rolls around, you're in a pretty good opportunity to pick up a win. Tom, I want to talk about New Year's Eve. Of course, always a fun night. Minotauros coming to town. Minot, kind of the tradition we've got on New Year's Eve. But it's not just what's on the ice. It's also what's off the ice. You guys do some great charity work with those jerseys and the fireworks. It's really a good night for fans.
Yeah, the jerseys this year, and you allude to the city that we always auction a jersey off for. But the jerseys this year are really unique in the sense that they're glow in the dark. And so that's something new that has come out as a product, so the fans are in for a treat that way. And then New Year's Eve night, I think there's about 100 tickets left. And then we'll have, like we always do, we'll have a couple hundred standing room, and the barn, it's crazy. And then post-game, memory fireworks will be up there doing some fireworks, and that's always a treat as well. They do it on the first hole there away from the homes, and the beer will be cold. The hockey will be great. We got a bunch of Minot people coming down, as they always travel pretty well on New Year's Eve, and it's just going to be a great time. If you are looking to party, and might end up being a standing room, but there's no better place to be on New Year's Eve. I can tell you that for sure.
Nobody parties like a Bobcat parties. And, I was telling Brad, if you got a glow-in-the-dark puck and maybe glow-in-the-dark lines, blue line and red line, and then put that glow-in-the-dark tape around the goal net and then shut all the lights off, that might be a fun game.
And that, Steve, is why you're the radio guy.
Come on, it'd be fun.
It's a great idea until it happens.
It's always a great night.
It could be like glow-in-the-dark golf or whatever people are doing these days, but hockey's just a little different, and that puck is a little different. But,
it might be fun.
Keep thinking on those great ideas.
I will, my friend. Well, you have a happy New Year, and we will see you at the game. Of course, the Bobcats, you can catch all the action right here on Super Talk 1270. Your home for the Bobcats, home and away. Big New Year's Eve tradition and a lot of great fun. Get the family. A few tickets available. BismarckBobcats.com. All things Bobcats. Check out the great app as well. Tom, happy New Year, and we'll see you on Tuesday night.
Yeah, happy New Year, Steve, and to all the fans, too. We appreciate y'all.
This is Talk of the Town on Super Talk 1270.
Talk of the Town, weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.